Okay, good morning. Welcome back. I missed you guys so much. Back to happy learning, only it's a different way. But it's always good to be back in Miss Curdy's class. And you know what? Who else wants to be back? This little guy in here. He said, I want to say hello to Miss Curdy's class and I want to learn something. Hello, good morning. My name is Twix and I will be learning some signs. Today, you guys have to guess what's the topic along with you guys, and I'll get some treat too. Okay, Twix, you can sit down. So, guys, Twix is what? He's a doggy, right? Plant or animal? So you would say he is a animal, living creature, right? So here comes our next question. If he is a living creature, do you remember we guys were talking about living things? So what's the unit for life? If it's a living thing, it would be having life. And if it's having life, it would be having a unit. Like all the life is made up of that. So what's your guess? What's the unit for life? That's our topic for today, actually. So, what did you say? Cell. Okay, you got that right. So, this is our topic today. Cell, yeah. And let's do a quick recap. Do you remember why do we call cells the unit for life? Because you cannot have an organism. Amoeba, which is single cell organism, or elephant, which is God knows how many millions of cells it's having. They all have cells in them. So one cell or million cell is always the same. If there is life, you need to have the cell. If you are talking about coronavirus, then of course we are in a very funny place because it's a link between living and non-living. If you remember, I wonder if you remember, we had that in our notebook, that what is the link between living and non-living, and we did talk about the virus and all. So let's see, who is the first guy who made it more comfortable for us to talk about cells. If you want to talk about cells, you need to be able to see them, right? So do you remember the guy who invented the very basic kind of very first microscope? Uh, Remember? We actually have a couple of students in our classroom or in our school whose name is kind of sounding his name. Yes, Anton von Leeuwenhoek. Okay, so he was the first guy who went ahead and did that invention. And do you remember the word cell? Where did it come from? The cell from the prison cell, or the cells where monks used to live and meditate in the basement of the churches. Okay, you can always research about that. And then in cells also we have very simple kind of cells who are very primitive, and we were having the idea how to memorize the name P for primitive and P for prokaryotes. So the very simple kind of cells who have no cell organelles which are bound by the membranes, and ribosomes does the job of respiration, and they do have some nuclear material, some DNA, but not in a very structured center which is known as nucleus. So that would be prokaryotic cells. And then remember I said, hey, you are made up of eukaryotic cells. Yes, so you are made up of eukaryotic cells, and then prokaryotic cells are the simple ones. So let's talk about eukaryotic cells. Eukaryotic cells, when you're talking about you, me, and Twix here, who is in this room patiently waiting for his treat. So eukaryotic cells, they would be having, first thing, they're very smart. Where the smarts come from? The brain. What is the brain of the cell? That is nucleus. So first thing first. So prokaryotic cells, they have what? Nucleus. And then they are very structured. They have first protection layer, which would be what? The membranes, the cell membrane, and all that. Plants, animals, and fungus, all these members belong to prokaryotic group. So, and then of course there would be difference between prokaryotic and eukaryotic, and the prokaryotic are still around in form of, you know what, bacteria. But remember one thing, we are so much in the information about corona, do not forget the word virus. Coronavirus, and virus is the link between living and non-living, and bacteria is having the cells. They are living, they are the simplest form of the cells, and they are prokaryotes, so do not forget that. And then you can always do part of your homework, part of your learning, research about what's the difference between bacteria and virus, what's the difference between prokaryote and eukaryotes, and then of course that's also part of your syllabus, and it's in your slides and assignment. What's the difference between plant and animal cells? So we have done all of that, but let's touch base little bit before we go for the differences of plants and animals. We should go ahead and see what's outside the cell and what's inside the cell that makes it so unique, that one cell is having the life in amoeba and millions of cells are having the life in elephant or blue whale or shark, and still they all work on the similar pattern right here. And what else? Generation after generation means DNA, which is the, remember, blueprint of life. So what would be the very outer layer of the cell? What do you call it? Cell membrane. And that's, I have it, Twix has it, your kitty cat has that. If you got birds, fish, if you got snakes, they all have that. But if you got beautiful plants around your house, they are having something extra because they can run away if their life is in danger. So what they're gonna do? They are going to be more protected by having one extra layer. What do you call that layer? Do you remember? Cell, that word is of course there, but not cell membrane. It's cell wall. Perfect, you got that right. And then like blood, what do we have? The matrix, the colloidal liquid. Cyto means what? Cell. Plasma means what? Liquid. So the liquid that fills up the cell, cytoplasm. Brain of the cell, of course, you always know, that's nucleus. And the nucleus is having very important function. It's not only for the cell now, it's not for the organism only now, it's going to continue the life through DNA, and that DNA is found in the nucleus. Do you remember the word chromosomes, genes, nucleotides, and all that? We'll talk about that. And then we have all kind of organelles, which are the cellular are the tiny organelles, the tiny parts doing different kind of job inside the cell, and they are membrane bound and all that. And out of that, you can be alive if you're not doing the respiration. So who does the respiration? I told you guys, easy to remember, ribosomes. What do? Protein synthesis and respiration job, along with who else? Mitochondria, which is the bank of the cells. What do they collect? The energy coins. And what are those coins? ATP, adenosine triphosphate. Where do we get it from? By burning of the food. And what happens? Cellular respiration, mitochondria. And who brought the food? Ribosomes. What do they make? Protein. So you see, all the things are interconnected. You know, it carries on, it keeps on working. And when the food is digested, who would be taking care of the waste material? There would be lysosomes, there would be vacuoles, vesicles, and all that, right? And cytoskeleton, all the things inside the cell, they have got special area, special jobs, special structure, and all that. And then ribosomes, they make the protein, and endoplasmic reticulum, do you remember? They are the truckers, they do the transportation job. And who does the packing? Do you remember? Golgi bodies. Remember, we had fun saying Golgi bodies? Yes, those are the ones. And then the most important, not the cell now, the cell that was, the cell that will be. Like our parents, Twixie's beautiful parents, and the smart next generation of Twix, right? Or smart and beautiful like you guys. And how does it carry on? It carries on through DNA, which is the, again, I can't emphasize enough, blueprint of life. So DNA, do you remember the full form of DNA? Deoxyribonucleic acid. Got that right. Good. So DNA would be having the genes, and genes carry the traits, the characters, the physical, psychological, recessive, dominant, all kind of information, generation after generation after generation. Now here comes one thing which we don't have, and the plants, they're very privileged to have it. They're like so super independent. I'm telling you, at this moment we sometimes get scared where the next food is coming from, is if the food's clean, can we eat what we want to eat, or do we have to wait like there's no production or distribution and all that. But plants, they don't have to worry about that, because they can make their own foods. What is the name of that process? Starts with B and ends with S. So what did you say? It uses the light. The word for light is photos. So what synthesis? Photosynthesis. But you can do photosynthesis. We can do photosynthesis because we don't have that green stuff. What stuff am I talking about? Yes, good. Chloroplast. So plants, they make their own food. They don't have to be worried in lockdown. And they are going to use the sunlight, the carbon dioxide, good for us, purifying the air, and the water, and the chlorophyll, the chloroplast, that's going to make their own food. That's the glucose, which we eat. The ribosomes make the protein synthesis, does the protein synthesis, and mitochondria collects the energy coins of the body, and that's why it's known as powerhouse. So you can see right from the cell membrane going to the brain of the cell, which is nucleus, to all the way to the next generation through DNA. So cell keeps on doing the job. But if the cells are together doing same kind of job, what do you call them? You call them, starts with T, tissue. Good job. Can you give me some couple of examples of tissues? Tissues for eyes, for ears, for brain, neurons, the one in the heart, the muscle tissues and all that. Yeah, so you can always research and learn more about that, right? And when tissues get together to make a particular kind of job in a particular area of your body, what would you be having? You would be having, organs. And organs together will make what? Organ system. And organ system together will make me, Homo sapiens. That guy over there, he is what? Don't say him. Don't call him a dog. He would be offended. But he is actually a Canis familiaris dog. So here comes genus and species. Anytime when you are saying the scientific name, you are saying two, genus and species. Homo sapiens, canis familiaris, the cat, Felis domesticus. So like that. So now go ahead, check in Canvas, check in Google Classroom, and do the assignments. I'll see you again on Wednesday. And if you need anything, email me, or you can always wait for next Google Classroom, which would be again same time on Wednesday morning around 9 o'clock. Or you can text me right within the inbox in Canvas in Google Classroom, like message me, and I would be there. And happy learning. Love you. God bless you. See you and do your work. Be in routine. Tell to your friends we are arranging for the computers, and ask them to join the classes. Okay? See you again. Bye bye.